Welcome. Have you been waiting long? Good. Try to be as comfortable and calm as you can be under the circumstances. Yes, as I'm sure you are aware, you are here under special parameters and under strict supervision. We have amended some of our guidelines and rules so that you are allowed to be interviewed for this specialized position here. This is a secret organization, business bureau. We do not exist. Therefore, we are your last chance, essentially, at living a somewhat normal life. If this interview goes poorly, you will be sent straight back, and you will suffer the punishment for what you have done. No, I'm not going to offer you water. I know what you did the last time you were given anything of that sort. No, I'm not allowed to loosen your restraints. No, I'm not going to adjust your chair for you. I have thoroughly read your file. Allow me to be upfront and very clear. You do not get the privileges of a normal interview, and under the circumstances, and you do not get water or coffee or a pen for taking notes. Not that you can or should be able to use it anyway, restrained as you are. This interview doesn't exist as far as the world outside of this room is concerned. Nobody will know if you do badly or well, and it will not affect anyone else but you and me and my boss and the multiple people keeping strict supervision of this and the guards outside. But as far as everyone else is concerned, this interview does not exist. This interview is being recorded, and I will be typing down notes. There are armed guards outside, and this interview is being supervised by multiple sources and departments, all of which are unlisted and not under the jurisdiction of any government authority or restrictions. Under the circumstances, as what they are, your behavior in this job interview will determine your ability to best present yourself. This is your last chance. Let me be clear. If you mess up here, there are no other opportunities for you, and your fate will be sealed. Do you understand? I need you to tell me if you understand. If you do not comply with the questions, if you do not follow instructions, then we can end this right here. This interview is an exception to all of our normal criteria and standards and processes. If you think that you deserve special treatment, let me be clear, you do not. Yet, this is your special treatment. It is this opportunity. This is your last opportunity to escape your judgment and sentencing and be enlisted in a secret organization protecting the world from what it is not prepared for. Now, if you do not understand, is there something that I can help clarify? That is confidential. That is classified. That is restricted information. That is also classified. That is on a need-to-know basis and requires a higher clearance than even I have. That is confidential. That is outside of my jurisdiction and would be outside of your jurisdiction even if you obtain this position? That is a great question. The answer is confidential. Let me help you. There are plenty of questions that you can ask that pertain to this position that are not confidential or classified. You're just not asking any of those questions. The information you are seeking, that will not help you in this interview, by the way. The information that you're looking for is beyond what you should or will have any access to. That information is redacted. Redacted is different than confidential, which is different than classified, which is different than confidential. Classified and confidential mean two different things. They're similar, but different. I cannot go into the exact reasons for the different versions, but if you would like, I can give you a simple shorthand in regards to why I'm using the different terms. Is that something that would help you understand how critical this interview is? All right then. Confidential, in the simplest terms, means you are not allowed to know. Classified means that we are not allowed to know. This means that it has been classified as something that is above my clearance level. I am not allowed to tell you the classification levels, such as whether it's secret, top secret, because even that would be too much information in regards to that question. Redacted means that it has been stricken from the record, and as far as any of the clearance levels go, does not exist anymore as applicable or useful information. Restricted is a term that we no longer use, but is used for archaic, ancient things that were classified with an obsolete clearance level, but that are still above my clearance level. Let me check something. That is a great question, actually. Yes. The reason is because you are capable of performing the duties of the job, and you caught interest from one of the supervisors. And that is why you are being offered this last chance. Any other questions? This is a killer job position, pun intended. It is to die for, to kill for. What would you do to spare your life? That is what we're offering. We are offering you your life back. Yes, that would be included. Yes, all that would be covered by us. Yes, you would be authorized and be provided to use firearms, explosives, and weaponry as required by the position, and under very strict supervision, as long as you are following all of our policies and rules. No, you're not provided a license to kill indiscriminately, but under specific circumstances, that would be called for in this position. Yes, you would be provided with water if you are presented with a job offer. So, I will ask you again, do you understand what the parameters of this interview and failure to perform well in this interview means? Good. This is the first interview. There will be more interviews if you successfully pass this interview. Since there will be a departmental review, if you do well in this interview, you will not be immediately sent back, but instead be subject to a holding area and will be forced to wait there until the next interview begins. It is a holding area. No, it is not purgatory. You can call it that if you like. It may feel that way, but it's a holding area. Yes, if you do well in this interview and are placed into the holding area, you will be given some water. We will ask primarily personality and behavioral questions. If you're doing well and are lucky, then we will end with some of the yes or no questions. And maybe some of our deal breakers for this position. Most likely, though, the deal breakers will be in a second interview, so don't be concerned if we don't have time to get to those today. Let's begin. Tell me about yourself. Why did you want to do that? That doesn't seem like something that someone, especially a young kid, just falls into for a first job. What made you want to pursue the requirements for that position? Can you try to describe that feeling in more detail? When was the last time that you felt that feeling? Is that feeling and urge something that you can control if you wanted to? So, please correct me if I'm at all wrong here. What I'm hearing you say is that when you have indulged that feeling and obliged to perform the acts that it wanted you to conduct, you did not feel present in that moment, but rather possessed by that feeling. Is that an accurate description of what you're telling me? So you go away, something takes control of you, but you're there, actively doing all of the things. You remember everything you've done, but you have submitted or forfeited the control to something else. Does what come over you have a name, or do you just refer to it as the feeling? We do perform a full physical and psychiatric questionnaire and test. Do you feel that there are any concerns with you being able to pass those? Yes, they are similar to military requirements. Okay. Thank you. Please continue with your work history with the next listed occupation on your resume. That's a difficult position for most people. A dirty job, some might say, that most people would not be able to handle. What did you enjoy most about that difficult job? I see. I see. So you liked it primarily for the low surveillance, limited supervision, allowing you to be able to do your hobby while working and not being caught. You do understand that this position would not have those benefits. There is no low supervision, especially for you if you are presented with this job offer. You would be working very closely with a teammate. We do have a buddy system in regards to our agents. What motivated you to continue to do that difficult work despite the repetitive process of doing something that most people would describe as distasteful or disgusting? That is impressive. What was your reason for leaving that position if you somehow enjoyed it so much? I see. That was the job you had before the incident occurred. What are your best strengths? That is impressive. Well-detailed answer, catering to what limited information you know about this job description. What would you consider your worst weaknesses? Can you elaborate on the answer? What past mistakes or what about your mistakes are your weaknesses? And with the variety of those weaknesses you just mentioned, how are you working to make sure that those things of the past are not repeated and are being able to be prevented? What is your greatest regret? Did you mean your regret is what you did there? Or are you saying you regret getting caught after doing it? And if you could go back in time, would you have done that again? Then in that case, if you went back in time, you went back in time, but the version of you still did that. Would you try to prevent yourself from doing it? If you went back in time, how would you prevent yourself then from doing it without causing a paradox? You do know what a paradox is, correct? You can't do that. No, doing that would cause a paradox, and that would alter the timeline because of all of those witnesses. Try again. If you went back in time, how would you prevent yourself from doing that without causing a paradox? No, you cannot do that because your name would be in multiple places and you would be seen on camera visually at the same time. Paradox. Try again. Is that a sacrifice and price you are willing to pay to prevent what you have done? What is your biggest professional regret? Did that have any impact on the incident that occurred? What is your greatest triumph or achievement? I'm sorry, I misspoke. What is your greatest professional workplace triumph or achievement? Professional. Do you just not get sick? Tell me about a time when luck played a significant role in your life. How much of that would you consider luck instead of planning, preparation, and intelligent improvisation in the moment? What is your secret superpower? What are your hobbies, interests, and special skills? How long did you do taxidermy? Did you do that before working in roadkill collection? So tell me about a time when you failed and how you handled it. That is understandable. Let me help you out here. We're looking for professional circumstances. You do not need to keep referring and referencing the incident. In fact, the less detail about the incident, the better. It is the reason that I refer to it as the incident. The least you talk about the incident, the better it will be for you. How do you manage being in a high-paced, under-pressure situation? Can you give me a time when you've had to handle short-term and long-term stress, and how you handled them differently? Do you think stress has some impact or causation to that feeling that you had mentioned before? No, not that feeling. Yes, that feeling. Thank you. Tell me about a time when you successfully persuaded and motivated someone to see it your way. So, you mentioned painting and portraying yourself as an anti-hero, a villain on a redemptive arc, seeking repentance and penance for the crimes you've committed. Now, there are no religious requirements for this position, of course, and just to specify, we do not discriminate based upon religion. But in your words, what is the difference of repentance and remorse? So you're saying remorse means a deep, sorrowful regret. It is knowing understanding and making a mistake, while repentance is more of an action. Then, what exactly do you mean by repentance is more of an action? What is repentance? In that case, since repentance is not just an act of confessing your misdoings and understanding and regretting the trespasses you have committed, but in addition to that, turning away from it, making sure to never commit them again, and to have turned away entirely from what was done, how would you say you are or have repented from the incident? So, do you have any problems with shift work, especially odd shifts, graveyard shifts, changes to shift schedule, being on call, and working overtime? I would agree. Any work would be better than the alternative that you face. So, what is your favorite year that you have been alive? Well, that is rather optimistic. What is something that you forget exists? What is under your bed? Is that metaphorical or is that literal? I do have to ask, we have had someone with literally that under their bed. I did read the records. I know what happened. I just wanted to make sure you weren't hiding them in the closet or under your bed as well. What was the first thing you did this morning? What is the last thing you did last night? Do you have any allergies? Any allergies at all? Do you like animals? I guess I didn't need to ask that question. Have you ever thought about or wished that you would fall asleep and not wake up? Yes, that is why we ask this. What is your favorite oxymoron? Mercy killing. Well, that's ironic. Or maybe you know something that I don't. Why should we not hire you? What is something you have completed from start to finish? Remember, please do not mention the incident. Try to be professional. Would you disobey a direct order? What about one that puts you or others in danger? How do you deal with conflicting instructions, procedures, or direct orders? Especially if they're from two different departments or two different sources. Can you use a forklift? Do you have any tattoos or piercings that you would not be willing to have removed? We would. Don't worry about it. Do you have any concerns with any of the following? Arachnophobia, heights, enclosed spaces, bright lights, being in total darkness, strobing light effects, loud noises. Do you have any motion sicknesses? Do you have any concerns with being frozen or placed in a cryostasis chamber? And do you have any concerns regarding avian-type creatures? Do you have any concerns with things that do not exist? Sorry, let me rephrase that. Do you have any concerns with things that you think do not exist? Do you have any concerns with being lost in time and space? Do you have any issues with international travel? Do you have any issues with space travel? Do you have any issues with time travel? Do you have any issues regarding dimensional disorders or paranormal abnormalities and temporal continuity collisions of an echoing oblivion that distorts cognitive cohesion of events? Thank you for your time. Guards! You will be placed in a holding area. And after various meetings and consultations, if you're accepted for a second interview, we will call you in at that time. I do not know when that will be. Nobody does. But be patient, or don't. It doesn't change your circumstances. Thank you again for your time, your honesty, and sleep well. You will need it.